There is a saying in English, a lecture is like a pencil. It has a point. The point of my lecture this evening is that how we say something has a far greater impact than what we say. Good evening to all of you. My name is Evangel Athial. I have been invited here today to deliver a lecture on the topic Good Communication for Effective Leadership. The topic is Good Communication for Effective Leadership. You are all leaders in your particular fields. You know all about leadership. You don't need me to tell about leadership. But what is communication? Is communication just talking? Or who is a good communicator? How do we know whether a person is a good communicator or not? It is very important to know what good communication is, because good communication and effective leadership both are intertwined. They go together. Good communication is not just about being able to speak or write. When we say that a person is a good communicator, we mean to say that that person has the undivided attention of his listener or listeners. The listeners can be his staff, subordinates, colleagues, or a large audience. Whatever, the listener, he will have the undivided attention of his listener. If a person can successfully pass on the message, the listener will know that he is a good leader. You can't go around telling people that you are a good leader. A comedian cannot stand in front of an audience and say that he is funny. He must say the joke and let the audience decide. In the same way, you have to prove that you are a good leader. There are many ways to prove that you are a good leader. One of the ways is to communicate effectively. When you communicate effectively, the listener will accept you as a good leader. A good leader uses various means to communicate his message, but mainly he uses words. Words. I am sure you know that words are powerful. Words have energy. Words have the power to heal, to help, at the same time to hurt, to humiliate, to discourage. Words can do all these things. Words, they are powerful. Go back in your life. Think about those years when you were a toddler. Can you remember those kind words that encouraged you when you were down, when you were sad? Can you remember the people behind those kind words? Perhaps a teacher, perhaps an uncle, perhaps your grandfather. Don't you realize that it could have been those kind words that changed the trajectory of your life and brought you to this level now today? Words, they have the power. The human voice is arguably the most powerful voice in the universe. It can create, it can destroy. It can initiate world wars. It can create civilizations. It can help people. As a leader, it's up to you. It is for you to decide how you want to use this power. Do you want to use it to help others, to encourage others, to motivate others? Or do you want to use it to destroy others, to humiliate others? It is for you to decide. Choose your words wisely. Now, how to be a good communicator? First of all, let us think about some of the limitations that interrupt an individual from communicating freely or properly. We all know that the purpose of communication is to make the other person understand what we are talking. But it is not that easy. One of the mistakes some of us commit while talking is to presume that the audience or the listener understands what we are talking because we understand what we are talking. We as the speaker know what we are talking. So we presume that the audience also understands the topic. This perception is wrong. The listener will have his own perceptions, his own ideas, his own emotions about a topic. The listener may not be well versed as you are. So that creates a barrier there. What do we do there? We must go to the other side of the table. We must think like the listener. Ask yourself, does he understand me? Do my words make any sense to him? What is he thinking? Think about the listener. Cricket is very popular in almost all the SAARC countries. When a good bowler bowls, he thinks like the batsman. He doesn't think like a bowler, he thinks like a batsman. What the batsman is going to do, how is he going to take guard, what is he expecting. In the same way, a good batsman will think like the bowler. What is he going to bowl? Is it a googly? Is it a ball on the leg? It's a ball on the off. And then he will bat. So if you want to be a good communicator, if you want to be a good leader, think like your listener, think like your staff. Another problem while talking with others is the emotional barriers. You all know about emotional barriers. There are many emotional barriers that prevent us from talking freely or sensibly. We don't have the time to go into all of them. But I would like to tell you about one emotional anger that is the leading emotional barrier to effective communication, that is anger. Anger is the most leading emotional barrier that prevents us from talking freely and sensibly. When we are angry, we may yell or say things to hurt others. We are not interested in the topic. Your staff, subordinate, nurse, he committed a mistake. You are angry. In fact, you are very angry. At that time, your sentences will not make any sense if you shout at them and if you yell at them. You are not interested in the topic. All you want is to hurt the person, to blame him for everything, to tell him how wrong he is. When this happens, we will also be using defense mechanisms like sarcasm, blaming others, sometimes even intimidation. You will be like, do you know who I am? Do you know what I am capable of? Do you know about my connections? These are outbursts. They don't serve any purpose. Momentarily you may think that you have achieved something, you have belittled him, you have hurt him. But you have failed as a communicator, you failed as a leader. The listener now does not want to listen to you. You pay him, so he will stand there. But he doesn't want to listen to you. You have failed. You have failed as a communicator, you have failed as a leader. Now what to do in such situations? When you are angry, when you are upset, give it some time to cool off. Send that person away. Send that nurse, your junior, your staff or team member, send him away for some time. Let things cool down. Then call him back. Tell him where he went wrong. Tell him the mistake he committed. Now he is learning something new. And there you are becoming a good leader, a good communicator and a good leader. As I said in the beginning, it is not what you say that is important, it is how you say that is important. That is yet another facet to good communication. When you talk to others, whether they are your staff, colleagues, team members, seniors, club members, anybody, see that the conversation is not all about you. On a daily basis, we come across people who are like Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I have 5 PhDs. I have worked in 10 MNCs. I have written hundreds of books, all bestsellers on Flipkart and Amazon. I advise ministers, teachers, doctors on a daily basis. See, everything is all about him. Who wants to listen to such a person? As a leader, people come to you to learn something from you, to get something from you. You are not supposed to promote yourself. I'm not here to promote myself. I'm not here to promote my books. A good leader will always be a good giver, not a taker. Remember that. You must give something. It must not be, the conversation must not be all about you. Give importance to them also. They are also equally important. Another aspect is confidence while speaking. There are people who are very confident, I would say overconfident. They'd be like, hi bro, today is a great day, how are things with you, what's happening around? They sound very confident. But there are others who are not so confident. And that lack of confidence hinders their proper communication. I was one such person. I remember my days as a college lecturer, early days. I was always anxious while facing the class. I thought I was not up to it. Sometimes I used to go very fast. Sometimes I lost words. There were occasions when I felt an utter sense of humiliation. I thought I was not fit for the job. Believe me, even now I am nervous, a little bit. I see a hall full of great people sitting there and looking at me. I feel nervous. MS, MDs, MTechs, MPhils. I don't have any of these degrees. All I have is a simple MA in English literature, that too which I got as a private student. Yes, I have always been aware of my limitations, but I never allowed my limitations to restrict me. When somebody told me this is not possible, that is not possible, who is going to read your books, I never accepted those things. I never allowed my fears to stop me. I focus on my strengths. I try not to compare myself with others. Instead, I compare my today's progress with my past self. I don't care what others are doing. All I care is that I am doing better than what I was doing yesterday. And this attitude gives me a lot of confidence. Remember one thing, confidence doesn't exist on the outside. It exists within, in the gut regions, where we cannot see it. And that's where you should look for it. And when you find that confidence there, you will be unstoppable. You will become a better communicator, you will become a better leader. Another way of good communication for effective leadership is to use stories to get the point or idea to the audience. It will be more effective if you can tell them personal stories. Remember, the stories must be about people, not about things, not about objects. The stories must be about people who were or are behind those things. If you want to tell a story about your ancestral home, don't tell a story about the house. Tell a story about your grandparents, how they built that house, the toils of your grandfather, the sacrifices they made, the things that were important to them. These are personal stories that will connect you to your audience, to your listener, to your staff, to your team, to your colleagues. If you can tell good stories and the audience connects with those stories, then you will want to listen to you more. They will say, Dil mange more. Dil mange more means the heart will want more. They will enjoy listening to you. and then they will accept you as a good leader. You can also tell them about your hard work, your sacrifices to come to this stage. Becoming a doctor, engineer, a journalist, a lawyer, it's not a small thing. It's a great thing. You might have put in a lot of hard work, lot of sacrifices, lot of efforts. Tell them about those sacrifices, about those efforts, and those things will motivate them. And gradually, without knowing, you will be becoming a better leader. As I said earlier, remember, your degrees, your expertise, your experience, these things alone will not make you a good leader. Communication is very important. You communicate well, you will lead well. A good leader is also a visionary. He is not just a boss. He inspires, he motivates, he encourages them to become better versions of themselves. And remember, it is the visionaries who change the world, not ordinary leaders. Thank you very much, Dr. Shikha Thakur, Mr. Mukesh Datta, and all the other office bearers who invited me here this evening. It has been a real pleasure, a real privilege to be addressing such a great group of leaders. Thank you very much. The lecture is over. I'd like to leave you tonight with the thought that to effectively communicate, we must realize that all of us are different in the way we perceive the world. We perceive our surroundings, the way we perceive people, all are different. And then use this understanding as a guide to our communication with others. Thank you very much for listening to me this evening. Good night to all of you.